Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of No Holds Barred here at the Toronto Sun. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Postmedia wrestling writer Jane Murphy. We are pleased to be joined today by WWE legend, UFC Hall of Famer. You know him as the world's most dangerous man. It is Ken Shamrock. Ken, thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, I appreciate you guys, man. It's good to see my good friend, Mr. Murphy.
Yeah,
What's up, buddy?
yeah, we'll have
Good,
to
good.
get the story of that week that you guys spent up here in Ontario a couple years back. But you know,
Well,
I've
hey, whoa, hold up. That
yeah, yeah.
Ontario, wait a minute. Isn't that the Vegas rules though?
Yes, absolutely. Listen, you just finished your steak dinner, I bet, right? You just had steak for lunch, didn't you?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Never
Hey,
seen
hey,
anybody eat more
listen,
steak.
listen. You gotta have it.
Yeah,
Oh boy.
totally get that. Actually, you know, Jan did mention that to me the other day when he said we are going to talk to you that you only eat steak. So I'm curious. I kind of want to start there. What is with the steak only diet, the carnivore diet, if you will?
I don't know, but I know like when I eat it, I seem to it doesn't digest as fast as most foods that I get, like chicken, pastas, any of that stuff, because I have a fast metabolism, just tends to go right through me. And it seems like steak, roast beef, things like that seem to like I don't have to eat every 2 hours if I eat red meat.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm jealous getting to eat steak every day. That's a
Yeah.
pretty good diet to say the least. So, you know, I've told Jan this story before that, you know, growing up, I'm old enough to remember video rental stores, and I used to rent WWF home videos to check them out. And I remember when I was about 9 or 10 years old, I went one time and I saw Ultimate Fighting Championship, and I went, "What the heck is this?" And that was the first time that I ever saw you. I think it was the UFC 5 VHS tape, and you know, that's my first memory of Ken Shamrock, and I'm sure a lot of other people watching this as well. That's, you know, where they first saw you, ultimately leading to WWF at the time. But you know, for those people that are watching this video right now, what are you up to these days in your life?
Yeah, I always try to stay busy just because when you've had the exciting life that I've had, obviously starting out as a young kid, didn't have a whole lot, ended up turning it all around in a group home with somebody who adopted me, gave me an opportunity, changed my world, and then jumped into the professional sports industry. And it was just been a whirlwind for ever since I was, late 20s until I was in my early 50s. It was just a whirlwind of constant excitement. And then once you get to a point in your life where you look at it and go, well, I can't do that anymore. I think that what happens to a lot of people is they feel like, well, they've done it, right? Like that's living. And I always told myself, watching those people who get to a certain point, even family members at that time, um, that they just kind of start living life with no purpose. And I've told myself I wasn't going to do that. That it's just okay. I did one thing in a part of my life, and I was young and vigorous and ready to rock and roll. And then you get to another point where you have to use your brains and your thoughts a lot more to be able to stimulate yourself and stay excited. And so I've done that. I've created some opportunities in business. With being a promoter and doing some bare knuckle stuff outside of what we normally see. We're getting ready to launch a whole new vision of other things that we think are going to be exciting. So yeah, I've just kind of challenged myself in different areas so that life, when I'm on my deathbed and looking up, there won't be a day that I did not live.
Ken, you came up in my mind while I was watching the Hall of Fame ceremony in Las Vegas a few weeks ago. And before I could get it out of my mind, Stone Cold Steve Austin shouted you out for your role in what is the first match to ever be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Steve made sure to go out of his way to say, hey, without Ken Shamrock, that match probably isn't as good as it was. What did that mean to you, and what does it mean to you to have been in part of the very first match that ever was inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I mean it was an honor. Those guys deserve everything, man. They did a tremendous job. Like I said, I've said this over and over whenever I've been interviewed and we talk about that match. I didn't know whether or not I was capable of actually wrestling. are capable of actually reffing a wrestling match because I'd never done it. I knew what I was doing in fighting, but wrestling was a whole nother thing, right? I experienced it a little bit, but never in that side, right? And this was a big match. These guys were like mega stars. And so I'm thinking, like, I hope I don't screw this up because I didn't feel like I could fake it and I could do those things, you know. And that's when I went into pro wrestling. I didn't know whether or not I was able to act or not act, but be able to create a character like those guys were doing. And when I got into that match, I said it many times. 2 minutes, 3 minutes into that match, I couldn't tell whether or not I was reffing a wrestling match or whether an MMA match. I mean, they did a heck of a job, man. It was tremendous.
Yeah, it
Awesome.
really is, and there's a reason why it's inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame at this point. There's been a lot of conversation, of course, about you potentially going into the Hall of Fame at some point. How do you feel about that potential opportunity down the line at some point?
Well, listen, I lived a really exciting life. I'm truly blessed, man. I'm in a great spot. I got a great family, a great career, great fans. You know, I'm on here talking with you guys, you know, and being able to reminisce. So my world is good, man. I'm very happy. You know, I'm glad that I got to where I needed to be, thank God. And so I am happy. And these things that come along, like Hall of Fame in the UFC, you know, Hall of Fame in the wrestling, Hall of Fame, you know, these things that I've already been inducted into are just blessings, right? So if this happens, it's a blessing, man. I'm truly appreciative of it because not everybody deserves to get in. And if I so happen to get in, then it would be a blessing to me for sure.
Somebody who's destined for the Hall of Fame, who is at the top of everyone's mind right now, is John Cena. You obviously worked with John. He's in his last year, kind of an unusual return to do a year-long run, and he captured the 17th championship. Talk a little bit about John and his place in your life and in pro wrestling.
Yeah, John Cena came in after me. I didn't really get to work with him, but I've seen a lot of his matches, and he's very talented. Tremendous character, tremendous athletic ability, and a tremendous guy that you look at what he's done in acting. So he's another one that's pushing the bar, not with just wrestling, but also in the movie industry. So he's done a tremendous job for himself. You see a lot of that in wrestling where guys just push their careers in different directions and able to handle all of it. You look at The Rock, who's another one is the same way. So just tremendous respect for those guys to be able to do what they're doing.
Yeah, it really is impressive with what John has been able to do. When you talked about being blessed and the career that you've had and the life that you've had, do you ever miss any of it as far as the wrestling side of things? Do you wish that you could still be doing it? Because there's guys that are around your age that are still out there on the scene. Is that something that crosses your mind ever?
Oh, absolutely. You know, it comes up all the time because I'm in tremendous shape, right? So you always get that, boy, it looks like you could still go. And, you know, then there's always that question, well, you think about going back? And it's like, no. uh, I'm one of those kind of guys that, you know, people say I fought a lot longer than what I should have fought. And I say to them, you know, I pushed the boundaries as far as I could push them because I knew when I stepped away, I'm not a guy that changes my mind. When I decide something, that's it. And for me, like I said, I had a great career. I ran it as long as I could, and I'm done. And so I'm not retired because my life is still moving and I'm still doing things. So I'm blessed in that sense. I won't get back in the cage or the ring because that's just not in the cards. But you will see me around the events. You will see me doing other things to entertain the fans. I'm not in the ring, but maybe with my creativity.
Ken, I don't know how much you remember of that Ontario tour, but while I was listening to you, I had one memory. Do you remember the guy who paid you to put you in the ankle lock?
Oh no, I don't remember. Who was that?
We were at a
No.
restaurant. We were doing
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
at a restaurant, and a guy offered. I know he asked you to put him in an ankle lock, and I was like, he's not doing anything for free. He's like, well, I'll pay for it. So you put him in the ankle
Uh,
lock. A real. I thought you were going to break his ankle. I legitimately did. I
well,
love
he
that.
paid for it. I
You
felt I
paid
needed
for
to
it.
give him the
Good.
real deal.
That's a fantastic memory.
Yeah, if you're going to pony up, you got to make sure you're getting the real deal. That's for sure. And this is something I always ask when we talk to wrestlers, Ken. About finishers and your ankle lock. People still do it to this day, and people associate that move with you, of course. Was there other finishers that you toyed around with, or was that always the one that you're like, yeah, this is what suits me and my character and my personality?
Well, again, when I first went in, I worked with Bret Hart, and like I said, what a great worker, what a great mind of wrestling that he has. And I had the privilege to go up to Calgary and work with him and his brothers. Um, and he told me, and it was very clear, that I wasn't coming in to be a wrestler because they have plenty of them. I was coming in to be the world's most dangerous man, the submission specialist, and for
Yeah.
me to stay to that character because that's real. And so that helped me out tremendously because going into it in my mind, I was thinking, okay, I got to be able to do all these things and learn all these things. And boy, he woke me up when he said, no, they got to learn you. You have to learn what they do, which is in the pro wrestling world. But they have to learn what you do because you're bringing a unique style to wrestling, and people have never seen these moves in a wrestling ring. And so that helped me out tremendously to be able to go in there and just stick to who I am and be the character that I was in the world of mixed martial arts.
That ankle lock has stuck around, man. It's still being used to this day.
Uh, that's like I said. I mean, people always say, "Well, you're mad at Kurt Angle. He stole your." I was like, "Bro," I said, "Name me one hold in there that somebody didn't do before somebody else. It's an honor."
No,
Fantastic.
absolutely. So, we are talking a lot here about the WWE and wrestling, but obviously got to talk to you about MMA. And, one thing I've always wondered is, we've seen some crossover with, whether it's Ronda Rousey or more recently someone like a Shayna Baszler coming over. But there's not a ton of, guys from MMA and UFC that have made that crossover to pro wrestling. Matt Riddle's a guy that jumps out, of course, but you were, the one of the first, the pioneers. Are you surprised that there hasn't been more of that? Recently with some of the top guys in UFC or other MMA promotions trying to become pro wrestlers?
No, I mean, listen, wrestling's very difficult. Um, it's not something that people can just do. We were lucky to be able to have people like Ronda Rousey, Brock Lesnar, Riddle, all these guys that were able to, do fighting and wrestling because both of them are very difficult to master and do. And so I think that fans were just spoiled for a short time there because, you had, three, four people in a short amount of time that were able to cross over. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah, Steve Blackman was another one who made the jump, right?
Yeah, Steve was another guy that was literally credible in the mixed martial arts world. And he was able to come over there and make a mark for himself in wrestling. So again, like I said, I think we were spoiled to a point, the fan base, with guys being able to cross over, but it isn't easy. And that's why, having those many people in a short amount of time be able to cross over and be very successful at it doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's really, really tough. Last one for me, Ken. How much are you watching of, wrestling these days, whether it's WWE or some of the other promotions, and how much are you watching MMA and UFC these days?
Yeah, I don't. I like I said, I'm living pretty like I'm in a car right now. As you can see, I'm actually pretty busy. I try to stay busy. Obviously I follow through social media platforms and keeping up on everything that's happening. But I don't. And then when I'm home, I try to spend time with family I've gone a lot during my career. So most of it's working on creative things, trying to get ahead in the world, and then family. That's it.
Ken, how much to put me in an ankle lock? Just out of curiosity.
For you, brother, free.
Can't
All
wait,
right.
buddy. Back up
Yeah,
here.
right.
Yeah, might
Yeah,
have
I'd
to
love
set that
to.
up and get that on a
Yes.
future video. Ken, we really appreciate the time today, man. Thanks so much. You can follow him on Instagram at Ken Shamrock Official or check out his website, kenshamrock.com. Thanks, Ken.
Appreciate you
Thanks,
guys.
buddy.
Thank you. Thank you.